Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin.
Hello everybody. Welcome back to the Human Challenge. I am your host, Vanessa Ferlano, and we are exploring all the challenges of being human in today's world, the challenges of being human and how we can challenge ourselves to be more human for the greater good. Today, I am super excited to have upcoming author Ava Nori, 4:16 a.m. I'm super pumped to have you here. She said she got one too. I'm super excited. I was actually invited to your launch a couple weeks ago, and I got to go, and it was such a wonderful event. Beautiful.
Thank
beautiful place. And I know we got to listen to you read some of your works. So I'm super excited to have you here today, and very grateful to get your insights. So at the launch, you talked a bit about the journey of writing it, and then also kind of where the title came from. And I love the title, and so I hope you can kind of give us a little bit about that background, and then I really want to jump into some of the pieces that really, really spoke to me.
Yeah, so the title, 4:16 a.m. I am originally from Toronto, and 416 is the area code of Toronto. And I remember this was probably about 6 or 7 years ago now. I was in a band, and I was on tour. And we had made a stop in Toronto, and it was the first time I had been home in forever. And I could not sleep that night at all. I was like so fired up that I saw my family. The show went amazing. And I remember rolling over in my hotel room and looking at those little digital clocks with the red numbers, and it was 4:16 a.m. And I was like, that is so sweet and cute that it is that time and I'm in Toronto.
Aw, that's really awesome. So you were in a band. That part I think I missed. Like, did you talk about that? Because I think I missed that. And so I did not, like, please tell. Now I need to know. I need to know a little
Okay.
bit more about this band
Okay.
that you were a part of.
It was like a high school rock band. We got a music credit for it, but we toured, and I thought I was the coolest person on the face of the earth. It was 11 of us. That many people should not be on one stage, but we were pretty sick. We were pretty rockin'. So it's a bit of an homage to that past artistic career, plus my home and not being able to sleep ever.
Oh, that's amazing. I actually thought to me, I thought that 4:16 a.m. also had to do with like those kind of gnawing thoughts that you have in the middle of the night, those ones that keep you awake. And I mean, like you said, you couldn't sleep that night. You might have been high on adrenaline from your band.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things that actually really spoke to me because I think that, on the show when we talk about what it is to be human and the
Yes.
human experience, like I think that is so relatable, right? Like we all have, it's like there's something about 4 a.m. when you're awake where it's like all your fears just kind of come to life, like every insecurity that you've ever felt, it's like it decides to just come alive at 4 in the morning, and then you're just kind of screwed.
Yeah, for me, 4 a.m. is like the point of no return. It's like I may as well stay awake now and ride this out. There's no point in going to bed.
Exactly. Okay, so I want to jump into some of these pieces because, like, obviously,
Yes.
I read through the work, and I really loved a lot of them, and then there were a few that really spoke to me and really made me pause and think about my own experiences, and I always love when a book can do that, and actually, in all this to jump in. This is it's a poetry book. Like these are all poetry works. I don't think I said that in the beginning, and I want to make sure that I highlight that because I think that's even more important for poetry, right? Because you have like it's such a different style, different way of writing, and when you can make somebody like pause and think for a second and go, oh, like that's I think very unique for poetry, right?
Yeah.
The first one I want to talk about was 78 Cents, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there were a few lines because obviously this is very much touching on feminism, and there was the line here that says, we have been trained to be silent because boys will be boys and girls will be compliant. And that one, it's so wonderfully like simple, but in a straightforward way. Like I'm not like, it's not like oversimplifying anything, but it's just like, it's straightforward. And it's like, yeah. And then there was the one to, you defend each man as they lie through their teeth while we are blamed for our skirt length and what hides underneath. And those, like, I don't know, like those lines really made me stop. Like they just hit me and I was like, yeah, yes, this is how the world works. And I think it's a bummer because, especially when we talk on the show about the challenges of being human and what it means to be human and the whole human experience, it's like this whole idea of feminism, like, this has been the human experience for like generations, you know what I mean? And it's kind of a bummer to be like, how are we still here? Like, how is this still a problem? So I kind of wanted to get was there something very, like you wrote this, what was where did this come from? Was there a very personal experience that happened, or was it just kind of like a general observation that you had made? And tell us about it.
It was a little cocktail of both. I mean, I've been a woman for 19 years now, and it was just a build-up. And I feel like in the lines that you had mentioned, like boys will be boys, that is such a juvenile, reminiscent of childhood as a little girl experience, and something that you're constantly told. Boys will be boys. Oh, boys mature slower than girls. You just have to let their behavior slide. So I think it was just sort of like an overwhelming, like all these different experiences from like childhood until now. And I was like, I should write about this because I know everyone can relate.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then I think the other part, the one about the skirt length and all that, that one really spoke to me because it reminded me not even of like, our personal side of this, but even in the workplace. When I was at work, I honestly remember one time a director, and she was a woman, which is the part that surprised me the most. And I had done a presentation and it was virtual, times of COVID. And I remember my air conditioning had broke. So I was wearing a blouse and it was like satin, but it was only had straps. And she called me, and this is a director that I had never actually like really met or didn't even know. And she just felt entitled to share with me I'm going to give you feedback. Next time, wear a shirt that covers your shoulders. That was her feedback on my hardworking presentation. And it was like, and so that line, like, it really made me think of, again, like that personal side, but then even like things in the workplace. And I was like, yeah,
Yes.
like, but like, cause it's kind of bizarre that that just still happens. And I guess I want to share that story. And then I want to ask you, cause I think that kind of touches on things like white feminism, right?
Yes.
And so that was kind of, I wanted to get some of your thoughts on that. Like, how much of this is perpetuated by things like white feminism and some of those dynamics?
I mean, so much of it is. That was very much based on personal experience. I think I was dress coded at least once a week
Oh my
in
gosh.
high school
Right. Okay.
for short length, skirt
Yeah.
length, shoulders, again, because
Yeah.
they are so, so sexy. But I totally relate to your story, especially within the workplace. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane. And to be taken seriously in the workplace as a woman, as like anything, basically, if you have barriers and friction in your life, you have to present a certain way with how you dress, how you speak, how you act. And clothes play such a huge role in that because the body is so hypersexualized now, especially the female body, that you're walking on eggshells just existing.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And that's exactly how it feels, where it's and I think especially too with women, like there's again, like it's the clothing, but then it's also just how you walk, how you talk, if your voice is too high, but then if your voice is too low, like it's like
Exactly. There's
there
no
are
winning.
all the exactly like there's everything kind of working against you, and
Yeah.
it's very, very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
But yes, I really loved that piece, and those lines really made me stop for a second. And there's the
Yeah.
part too about when convenient to you we hold remarkable worth. And it's true. It's like it's very much, well, it's like our worth is going to be dependent on what you decide to see from us when you need it, when you need something
Yes.
from us. Was there something very particular that you were speaking to, like in terms of convenience? Do you know what I mean? Or was it kind of more just like catch all?
A bit, like, again, a bit of both. I have so many experiences where my value is based on what I bring to the table from the perspective of like men in my life, boyfriends, teachers, bosses. Um, when convenient to you, I hold remarkable worth. I've had so many boyfriends that just disregard me until they need something, like
Right.
treat me horribly, and then it's like, oh, I need someone to vacuum this apartment. I love you today.
Right.
Like,
Right. Yeah. Right.
or even when it comes to like sexual relationships, like when it's convenient, I am worth something
Right.
to you. I'm a goddess, and then other days I'm just a rat, basically.
Or like, or even and like I mean, I think that even applies to like even like healthy relationships too. Sometimes
Yeah.
where you see
Oh,
that where it's
100%.
like, yeah, I love you today, but like I'm too busy for you today. Like I'm busy
Yes.
with work, I'm busy with this, and it's kind of like, well, that's still not really how it works, right?
Or the
It's
second you have an emotion that isn't
yes,
happy,
yes,
yes,
exactly,
you're an
exactly.
inconvenience. Yes.
All right, and then I want to touch on the other one that you wrote about because you had mentioned the hypersexualization of bodies and like in
Yes.
particular women. I do think that it's also the same for men. Like I got lots of
Yeah.
girlfriends too. And a lot of I've got lots of girlfriends that are happy to sit around and talk about a man's body and go on
Yes.
forever. So I do think it's it's a little bit of both. But I wanted to talk about it because this body, but it's entitled or it encompasses, I think, 4 or 5 different pieces, right, from the ages of 13 to 19. And so
Yes.
you kind of wrote a piece for each age. And I guess, and then you mentioned too that you're 20 right now. And so
Yes.
I'm curious, like, when you kind of reread these works and or even like just from that difference between 19 and 20, like do you think what you felt? Why don't you tell us what you wrote and what you thought at the age of like 19, and then do you think there was a big difference between 19 and 20 for you? Like do you
Yeah.
see that a big difference between that?
Um, I'm just looking at it right now. I think as a 19-year-old, I was very afraid to take up space,
Yeah.
physically, emotionally, mentally. So I shrunk myself in all of those different ways, and like such poor health, horrible relationship with food and my body and my appearance and how I wanted to present myself. It was catering to societal ideals, like people in my life, their ideals. And I've done a lot of healing since then, a lot of self work to get to where I am now, where I'm okay with taking up space. I'm okay with being loud. I'm okay with feeling like, oh, my thighs are too big today. But you know what? That's okay. I'm going to take up this space. These pants don't fit me when I try them on in the fitting room. That's okay. My body is supposed to fit inside of the clothes. The clothes are not supposed to fit inside of my body. It's those little things. It's just changing that mindset. And I think from being 19 and now being a 20-year-old, I mean, it's only a year, but doing that work and healing from those ideas really makes a difference.
Absolutely. And, and I
Yeah.
love that, again, like it within 1 year, right? To be able to have that kind of acknowledgement
Yeah.
and then to be able to take action around that. And
Hmm.
I love that it's like I'm 28, I'll be 29 in September. And I mean, I was kind of similar to you. Like, I was always someone that was always very aware of what was going on and how I felt. And I was like,
Hmm.
when you say that I was always afraid to take up space, like, I feel that, I'm like, yeah, totally. Like, I get that 100%.
Yeah.
But I think it's amazing to hear, like, people at 19 and 20, like, talking like this. Do you know what I mean? Because I
Yes.
don't think when I was like 19 or 20, I could feel those things, but in my head, I don't know, like, I just felt that that wasn't a very, like, topical thing that people discussed, which would have been like almost 10 years ago now, and I'm just realizing how old I am now. Like, but wow, okay, yeah, but like, I really genuinely don't think that we had those conversations, and so I love to know that is happening at those ages, because
Yes.
it kind of means that we are that much closer to seeing a difference, right,
Oh,
in all of
100%.
these things when we talk about feminism, mental health,
Yeah.
and all of that, right? So I think that's fantastic. What are your feelings? Because you went through 13, 15, 16, 18, and 19. And so I guess going through, did you write them all like at one period and you were reflecting back, or did you have this piece from when you were 13? And do you know what I mean?
I sat and wrote this within a night,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
due to the fact that it was due the next day for a poetry class. But this was during that healing process of learning
okay.
to take up space. And this helped me tremendously to see all of the different phases and growth that I had gone through. Because at 13, I was flat. I had not gone through puberty. And I remember everyone developing very quickly. And that's when that sexualization began. And that's when all these other girls were worth something. And then there I was, a fly on the wall, built like a little boy. And I was devalued. And then the second I grew boobs and had a more feminine body and I was playing into that sort of like those beauty ideals, then I was worth something. And you notice that and it hurts a little bit, but at the same time you're trying to cater to it. So it's this back and forth.
Right.
But I'm looking at it
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
even know my own work. I
No,
apologize.
no, no, no. Of course you do, but I get it. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, and when you finish writing it, it's kind of like it's there, and then you don't really touch it until you like have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's an experience, and I think that's fantastic. What about this? The 16, the teacher told me to wear tighter clothes on stage because sex sells.
That
And I
is
remember
a
you talking about
yeah.
that at the event a couple weeks ago.
Yes, one of the music teachers from our high school, not that one, was in the crowd and she shot me a look on stage because she knew exactly what I was talking about. But I think, again, the line that follows that is this body had become a product. And that really speaks to the ownership of your body, regardless of like if you are in a band or if you're an actor or whatever you're doing. Is your body truly yours if you're feeding into other people's ideas of what you should look like? Is it a truthful representation of self, of femininity, of this or of that? And I think that really touched on like who really owns your body, because at the in the latter half of that section, it must be this body's fault, this body rather than my body. um, this body's no longer yours the
Right.
second you're playing into those ideals, or if someone decides to take advantage of your body per se. And then I get into 18 on the next one, and it's taking up space and feeling as though I am too much, and that still isn't good enough. And feeding into the Kardashian brand shapewear and the green juices and the this and the that to try and keep up with society's ideals. And then finally 19, doing everything that I could. and being left with a carcass, basically, if I had to put it simply. But this poem was definitely such a journey. um,
Yeah.
I'm so happy you wanted to talk about it. That is my favorite piece in the book.
Oh, really? 19?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
the
Or the
whole
whole, the body is,
the
oh,
whole
okay, got it.
body.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love. Yeah, I was very very happy that Brian was like, yes, let's include that one.
yeah. Yes, Brian being your publisher, right? That like,
Brian,
so
yes,
yeah, because this book
Brian
was published
Davies.
through, yes,
Yeah,
published through Tagona Press.
yes,
Um, okay, that's great. Yeah, and I mean, I like what you say about like who owns the body, and it's
yeah,
that feeling of like that disconnect, right? That there's this me, there's this self. I exist in this body, but I don't feel it's like you're not connected to it. You know what I
no,
mean?
yeah,
And I know for myself, like I was sexually assaulted when I was 23, I think, and
hmm
it's that journey. It's that same thing where it's like it's taken from you, right? When your body
hmm
is like owned by someone else at that point, right? Because you're saying no and you're being forced to do
yeah,
something. Like it's that same as that disconnect, right? Is that disconnect
yeah,
between, well, this is who I am and I exist in this body, but I don't feel connected to the body anymore. And it
yeah.
takes time to
Reclaim.
exact to
Yes.
reclaim and to be able to like live in the body again, right? I remember
hmm
my journey was like I did a lot of yoga and a lot of meditation, but it takes time. But like I remember starting that journey and it was like, oh, like I almost felt scared sometimes to be in the body because it feels that unfamiliar to you, right? And so I'm curious because you said the difference between when you were 19 and then 20, like was 19 sort of like a wake up call for you to kind of say, okay, I need to like really like who am I and I need to start my healing process. Is that
Oh, 1,000%. It got to the point where I was having health concerns. Like, I had very low blood pressure. I couldn't walk. I didn't want to bring myself to eat. I was having stomach problems. And I was like, you are treating this body horribly right now. You need to get a grip, or else you're not even going to be able to exist in a body, whether it be big or small.
right? Wow. And
Yeah.
that's a wake up call. And that's like a very I mean, I commend you for having that very honest discussion with yourself, to
Yeah.
like it's like like it's either you do something now or you're not gonna be like then it doesn't even matter if this body exists or not. Like
Yeah.
that's a very tough conversation to have with yourself, I think.
Yeah.
So
Self honesty.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like that's
Yeah.
that's that's incredible. Honestly, that's
Thank
really,
you.
really fantastic. Um, and then the other one, because you talked a little bit about health concerns, and the other one that spoke to me that I thought was really interesting was the one I think it was RX02, the one about the bottle. There's an orange bottle that lives on my nightstand, and
That there is.
and I really liked this piece as well. And I'll be honest, it wasn't something that like I could relate to,
hmm
but I liked it. Like I really like the piece, and I guess I'm just kind of curious. Like like I said, like you're 20 now, so you were obviously even maybe younger when you were going through this experience, and
hmm
I want to talk about it because I imagine like if you're talking about it, I imagine that there are other people your age that are also having a similar experience, and
Yeah,
so I want to kind of talk about this piece a little bit and
for
talk
sure.
about like where it came from, and and yeah, like I said, because I think that if you're talking about it, then I think there are other people your
Yeah.
age that need to hear it and are probably experiencing this too.
Yeah, of course. So, RX02, it is about my tumultuous relationship with my ADHD medication. I was diagnosed in my first year of university. I was very open to trying medication because I was like, something needs to be done again. Like, come on, Ava. Um, this also very much plays into my experience of 18 and 19 existing in my body because one of the like number one side effects of a lot of ADHD medications is appetite suppressant and food aversion. So I felt reliant on this medication to wake up in the morning and be a functioning member of society, um, rather than just trying to sort of change my ways. But at the same time, I didn't want to change my ways. I wanted to be reliant on this medication because I was like, I'm not eating. I don't like how I look. But if this medication will stop me from putting food into my body and remaining the size that I am, then this is like the perfect combination. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was a lot to say the least. But I know again, like you said, I know so many people who are going through that, and it's tough to feel reliant on a silly little pill every morning. And it's like, where do I draw the line of this is helping me like change my ways and like foster this growth and this like change of habits, and where is this sort of harming me more, where I'm like scrounging every morning because I can't find the bottle and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to like do anything today.
Right. Right. And so, I mean, as I'm kind of listening to what you're saying, what I hear is like for people that are going through this, it's really just that constant discernment, right? Like that
Yeah.
consistent, like questioning and I think it goes to what you're saying about everything about self-care, self-love, self-honesty, and just really being able to have that very authentic conversation with yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if this is something that you're having a tough time with, like being able to just have that awareness, right? Like, is this
Yes.
actually helping me? And what is my intention here, right? What is my intention with the use of this? What is my intention with my life? How do I
Yeah.
want to live my life?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that those are very important words and very important thoughts for anyone who, I mean, anyone in general, but I think especially young people. I think
Yeah.
that our younger generations with tech, like they're so tech enabled now. I mean, I think it's kind of great because there are changes that we'll see and it, you know, will reflect how we you know, things in the workplace, I think, right? Because, you know, I think that the values are changing, which is a good thing. I think young people, you can tell me if I'm wrong, of course. I'm not young anymore. The more that I'm having this conversation, I'm like, oh man, Vanessa. But I think that, you know, I think the values are changing, right? I think people kind of know what they want for, or at least they're more aware and more in tune to wanting to know what they want for themselves, which I think is great. But I also think there's another kind of downside to all the technology. I think it does change the way we've communicated with each other. It changes I think the authenticity of the connections that we seek
Yeah.
sometimes. And so I think that, you know, I think your words are very, very important there for people to just, if you can kind of shut that noise off for a minute and really consider, like, you know, hear your voice, hear your thoughts, and take care of yourself and what
Yeah.
you want for yourself. I think is kind of what you're, at least that's what I hear as I listen to you.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. Self-honesty, sitting down with yourself, journaling, write yourself a letter,
Yeah.
because so many people are self-aware. Like as a younger person, we are all very self-aware, but it is very easy to lie to yourself and say, "Oh, no. Like this isn't bad. This is okay. Like what I'm doing is fine." When deep down, you know, you're destroying yourself or destroying your mental health.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that my last question then will be for you. Well, first of all, if you could tell us where we can get your wonderful book
For
and this
sure.
beautiful abstract cover art. I think it's just, it's really, really beautiful. And then I think from there, what's your, you know, do you have any plans coming up? Any future works? Are you going to start another band maybe?
We'll see. So my book is available on the Tagona Press website or on Amazon for $15, I believe, or 20. We'll see. I forget. And what's next? Definitely more writing. I want to take kind of a more casual approach to the next one. I feel like this very much packed an emotional punch. I want to write about things that are happier in my life as I'm healing and growing into adulthood. And yeah, I'm going into my third year of university. I'm taking so many creative writing courses, so we'll see what I produce from that. Hopefully, another book. But we'll see what's to come. I hope another band, maybe, actually. That would be pretty sick.
I love that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And
thank
like
you.
honestly, I think that it's like I said, like I think it's great to have young authors, young people in general, like you know, having these really honest conversations, because I do think it's needed in kind of where we are today. And so thank you so much. Super grateful for your time. Everyone, I hope you will check out Ava's book. It is very, very, it's very honest and very real. And I really did enjoy it. Being someone who's like 10 years older, I felt like very relatable to a lot of things. But I'm going to stop reminding myself of my age right now.
Don't worry about it. You're being too self-honest.